Hello everyone, a wonderful day all of you. Welcome to our institution of global professional free webinar. Thank you all for joining with us in this wonderful afternoon. My lovely audience, today I am a host. I am Kambul, coordinator of IGP from Bangladesh. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to be associated with IGP as a global member, and I feel honored to host this webinar. And it's my delight to welcome you all to our Institution of Global Professional free webinar. Again, thank you all for joining us today in this wonderful afternoon. And it's my humble request to you that you stay with us till end and don't forget to tag, share, and mention your friends. Before we have completed our 605 webinars successfully, today I will be presenting webinar number 606 and the topic is research and innovation writing. Today we have a speaker from Philippines. Before starting our today's program, I requested to our participants to share this webinar with your friends and also mention your friends. I think today is very interesting topic and that is research and innovation writing. You are eagerly waiting for it. Let's we welcome our speaker to the screen.
Good
Hello, sir.
afternoon. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for that introduction.
Thank you, sir. Sir, give a short description about yourself, then you can start your presentation.
Okay, sir. So good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to all. So a pleasant day. So I am your speaker for this 606th webinar, which is on the search and innovation writing. So I am Rubene Olona Jr. I am presently teaching at Eduardo Coangco National Vocational High School, Schools Division of Tarlac Province. So I am a math and a research teacher and a special program for the science, technology, and engineering. I'm handling ST8 Ruben. Um, and I am now a teacher one in our institution. Okay, so before I discuss my research and innovation writings, I'll be presenting you here. So my topic is about the innovation and research. So innovation and research, wherein I'm going to discuss more on the innovation, the result of the research or the offshoot of the research, focusing on what happens next. For example, if I had here a research, so getting my data, analyzing the data, making a conclusion, and then making recommendations, and then what's next? So that comes that innovation. So innovation is a process that we're in. It is an offshoot of the research, one of the offshoots of the research. To give something about the innovation, let me discuss first what are the legal bases of innovation. So first, we have here the Republic Act number 9155, known as the Governance of the Basic Education Act of 2001, also known as the Governance of Basic Education Act of 2001, which strengthens, of course, the school-based management. So how do they strengthen school-based management? Simply by empowering, of course, our school heads, especially the principals and the non-teaching personnel, in expanding community participation. So that includes the involvement of the different communities, delivering an educational services in terms of a specific interventions that we can use to simply initiate, which is initiated through projects in the school. So some are on the SIP, the school implementation plan, wherein these projects, these programs, and these activities are specifically to answer some gaps and problems. Furthermore, so the next order number 54, series of 1993, is also anchored on this, wherein this is a demonstration of creativity, initiative, and innovativeness through the development of a new superior work procedures. So how do we make up superior work procedures? Of course, in terms of innovation. So for non-teaching, it should focus on the organizational efficiency, work procedures, leadership, and educational support system. So it includes the work plan that is for modification, existing principles, existing procedures where we're going to modify it in order for it to be adopted on what is happening right now. So those are now the legal basis of the innovation to in consonance with this. So the two here, the Republic Act 9155 and the DEX Order number 54 encourages all the teachers, all the non-teaching to involve themselves, indulge in innovation writing. So that's why we need to do it in order for us to create a more sustainable, productive principles and procedures that is adaptive on this type of learning that we have nowadays. So we have here the new methods. So when we say innovation, it is a new method. So it is synonymous with the word new idea, services, processes, and practices. So the practical implementation of new ideas and change of idea to be better. So that is what innovation is. So that is now the definition of innovation. So it could be addressed to gaps. So it would address gaps. So the innovation would address gaps. So that is on the access, the quality, the relevance, the governance, and of course the management of education services that we are offering. Next, what are the sources of innovation? So when we wanted to write an innovation, what are our sources? So are we going to make use of something that is existing? Is it a new idea? Is it something that we wanted to work on, but we have to consider something in order for us to make an innovation? So the first one is that the innovation is an offshoot of the complete action research. So being conducted by the researcher for the past years or a recommendation of other researchers conducted by the other researchers. Of course, if we're going to look at some researches, I said that my topic today is just an offshoot of the research, which is an innovation. So if we're going to look at some of the researches, so last part is the recommendation. So you'll notice that if the researcher recommends a certain idea, so one way of proving this idea or addressing these gaps, addressing this problem is by the use of these innovations. So, but in offshooting a completed action research, make sure that citation, of course, that is very crucial. Citation and, of course, our uh, referencing. So we needed those. Another source of innovation, of course, is by the DEX order number 54, that the project or the program as concept establishing the following elements: demonstration of creativity, initiative, and of course, innovativeness of the teachers, non-teaching or the non-teaching personnel, wherein we are to indulge into these innovation processes or innovation projects. So we are. So meaning to say, every teacher must have their innovations, especially if problem arises, there are gaps, and that is very usual. So we cannot control those gaps, we cannot control those problems, and to patch up those gaps, patch up those flaws and gaps. So we needed an innovation. So next, there are two types of innovation. So we have the project and the program. So in every innovation, it has its distinct classification, definition, wherein they differ with each other. So first, let's try to define what are the elements of a project proposal, a project innovation, and a program innovation. Number one, of course, the objectives. So for the project innovation, the outputs are tangible. So when we say tangible, so the outputs are relatively easy to describe. It is measurable. So why? So because it is specific. So it is specific in the sense that if the problem is on this type on this type, for example, is in teaching, therefore it is very easy to measure. easy to define, and of course, it tends towards the objective. Unlike in the program, that the outputs are intangible. So when we say intangible outputs in the program innovation, so it is difficult to quantify. So why? So because of the organizational changes, what we are dealing here is the change in the behavior of the organization itself. So the benefits of the changes to the organization's culture and behavior. Take note of the terms culture and behavior. Changing the culture and behavior needs a lot of time, needs a lot of study. Therefore, the program here, the objective here is wide enough or large enough that it would tackle certain different aspects of our organization. Unlike with the project, it is more specific. For the scope, the project is strictly limited, not likely to change. So from time to time, the scope, since the scope is and the objectives are very specific, therefore, the scope is unlikely to change. So unlike in the project program innovation, that the scope is very wide, wherein the objectives are intangible, difficult to quantify. Therefore, it is not tightly defined or bounded. So, meaning to say, it is likely to change during the life of the cycle of the program or of the project. So, for example, if the teaching methodology or the teaching method you are going to make use of in the program is applicable for face to face, and then after a year, a sudden change on that innovation, and I mean, in the sudden change of the teaching modality, therefore, so it is not applicable on that type of situation, so there will be changes. So those changes are, of course, inevitable. We cannot assume that. So we cannot foresee. So therefore, the program from time to time changes. Then when it comes to the duration, so the project innovation is just short terms. So while on the program, that is long term. So how short is that short term and how long is that long term? So for the duration for the project innovation, it is from 3 months to 6 months. So meaning to say that is for 1 quarter or for specifically 2 quarters or 1 semester. While on the program, that is for 18 months up to 3 years. So those that is how long these terms are. Then for the risk profile, so for the project innovation, it is easily to identify and manage. So because if we fail, for example, this risk profile indicates the failure. We fail on that project, we can easily pinpoint what is its specifics. So, for example, it is mainly on teaching, so therefore, teaching is affected on that failure. Unlike in the program, that it is more complex, that it is more than one aspect. So, therefore, we cannot easily pinpoint or we cannot easily make a solution on that failure that we are uh, working with. So, that is for the program. Next is for the project, for the nature of the problem. So for the project, it is clearly defined. So since objectives are clearly specified, therefore, every solutions are clearly defined. And then for the program innovation, it is ill-defined. So when we say ill-defined, so often disagreement between the key stakeholders on the nature and definition of the problem. So because of its broadness, because of the constant changes, so there are some programs that are not applicable in a certain, for example, divisions, certain schools. It is a problem for us, but not on the other one. So therefore, it is ill-defined. And then for the stakeholders, a project innovation has a limited number of respondents. Since it is very specific, therefore, we are using here a selective. So selecting who will participate in our project innovation. So purposive, of course, it is very purposive. The purposive data collection is applied here. Unlike in program that it is focused on different aspects, so therefore there is a significant number of respondents. We're in the involvement of the stakeholders. So next, we have the relation to environment. So when you say relation to environment, it involves where you're going to uh, use these projects or this program. So for the project innovation, it is relatively stable. So same since we only have this limited number of respondents or stakeholders, therefore it is relatively stable. So for the program itself, so for the elements in relation to the environment, of course, for the program innovation, it is dynamic. So since there's a constant change, it is very broad, wherein uh, the the environment is dynamic and program objective needs to be managed in context of changing environment. So therefore, it is dynamic. And for the resources, for the project innovation, it is estimated in advance. So we can easily estimate its cost, its budget. So for the project innovation, while on the program, so constrained and limited. So it is limited in the sense that, of course, because of the variety of different programs, so attaching a project in it, so making any project coming from that program, so the resources are, there will be competitions for the resources between the different projects that arises from the different program. So those are now the elements and the difference between the project and the program innovation. Actually, the project innovation is more likely being made by the teachers, and the program innovations are made by the non-teaching, by the school heads, by the supervisors, and so forth and so on. So who will innovate? So here, who will innovate? Is it only the teacher? Are only the teachers to innovate? So actually, we have here the different innovators. So number one, the division personnel, the supervisors, the school heads or the principals, the teaching personnel, and of course the non-teaching personnel. So these are the people who can innovate, including the school nurse, if you have your administrators, your accountants, so school accountants, school finance officers, so they are also part of these innovation processes and bounded by the legal basis. So innovation or the project classification category. So we can innovate accordingly, and every innovation is being evaluated. Who are the concerned on this in evaluation and in monitoring, and what type of innovation or classification are we going to make use? So here we have here, if the innovation is based as a school-based management or organizational efficiency, focuses on organizational efficiency, so the concerned unit for the evaluation and monitoring are the school management monitoring and evaluation, or the SMME. So when you say school-based management, that includes all the necessary managing, supervising technique made by the principals. So that is based on that innovation. Organizational efficiency, changing the behavior, what are the best practices. So that includes the innovation that is also made by the principals, by the supervisors, and of course the evaluation. The evaluation can be done by the SMM. Next, if the innovation is on the Learning Information System, the LIS, Enhanced Basic Education Information System, or the EBEIS, and of course the National School Building Inventory, so the concern for that are the planning and the research. So it includes, for example, the ICT integration for the LIS or for the enrollment, enhancing, modifying something that is existing, so making it more easier. That includes the LIS and EBIS or any or NSPI. So that is the concern of the planning and the research. Okay, we can do any researches here. We have the school property custodians, so they can use this. The our ICT leaders, so they are to innovate, wherein the concerns are the planning and the research. Next, we have the school operations and governance. So for the school operation and governance, the evaluation concerned unit for evaluation and monitoring, of course, is the SOCMOB, or the Social Mobilization and Networking. So for the school operation and governance, a sample of this innovation, for example, you wanted to make a radio broadcasting, so radio broadcast or radio based instruction, and of course a TV based instruction. So here, a teacher, a principal, a head can do this innovation wherein it will be evaluated, of course, by the SOCMO. So, next, we have the human resource development. So development, enhancement of processes or procedures of IT-based database systems. So for this, for the development, enhancement of processes, it can be something that is related to um, different trainings, so different hirings, so hiring procedures, so we can innovate this one. So who are involved in this? Of course, we can for the hiring, of course, the administrators, and of course for the development of IT based, so the IT consultant, we can also be made by the IT coordinators. If a teacher is on the IT is the IT coordinator, therefore the teacher itself. And who is concerned on the evaluation? So we have the human resource development, or the HRD. Next, we have the school facilities, the infrastructures, repairs, infrastructure repair, rehabilitation of school buildings, national school building inventory, who are the concerned unit for the evaluation. So we have the education facilities. So when we say school facilities, that includes the building itself. So inside the building, the different materials in our schools, so the washing areas, the comfort rooms, anything that is inside the room. So that is in this category. So who are to make this innovation? So it can be the property custodian. So it can be a teacher itself. So can do some innovations wherein it will be evaluated by the education facilities. Next, we have the medical, dental, and care. So medical, dental health care, and nutrition. So here we have the concerned unit for the evaluation are the school health. So who are to evaluate, or who are to make this innovation first? Of course, to make this innovation, so we needed, of course, our school nurse, our school health leader, our nutrition leader. So they are involved in this one. So we're in for evaluation and monitoring. So we have the school health. So they are in the division. So wherein they can monitor and evaluate our innovations. So some medical and dental health care and nutrition innovation. It also involves, for example, the health of the learners, the health of the teachers. So the teaching and the non-teaching. So inside the school. So those are the concerns of this innovation. Next, we have the innovation projects and classification in the category of disaster risk reduction management and the mitigation of the adverse effect of the climate change. So, a concerned unit for the evaluation are disaster risk reduction management, or the DRRM. So here we have our DRRM, our school DRRM leaders. So we have the principal. So we have the head teachers who are concerned on this. So it's also it includes the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, how to combat, how to prevent, preventive initiatives. So that involves our DRRM. So for the youth formation, so for the innovation that is classified for the youth formation, or the PPAs, or the programs and the activities. So the youth formation, so are the concerned unit. So it includes the formation of the projects of the YESO, of the SPG, or the SSG, School Governing Council, wherein if the concern is more on the students, and made also by the students or the SPG advisor. So that includes the youth formation or the PPAs. So PPAs in the new normal inclined to DepEd core values must be inclined to the core values, the makajos, makatao, makakalikasan, at makabansa for this type of innovation. So with innovate, so it can be the student. The students are allowed, but they must have their advisors. Of course, the advisor itself. So for the youth formation, then project proposal writing. So after knowing what is an innovation, we now come to the project proposal writing. So there are different steps on how to write your own project proposal. So again, so how do we write proposal? So there are different things that we need to consider first before writing a proposal. Number one, after knowing, for example, we wanted to offshoot it from a certain research, so you can get it from a research. If you wanted to make your own research and then based on that research, know the problems, then offshooting that problem, so you need to innovate. Or since it is part of our duty and responsibility to have this research to modify and adapt on this situation that we have now, so we need to innovate. So for the different steps, so we have for step one, so of course we have to define the problem. So what is the innovation all about? Is it necessary to have this innovation? Is there really a need for us to make this innovation? So in defining the problem, you make sure that the problem is existing in our school, in our department, in our organization. So because we cannot make a solution or define that problem if it is not a problem itself. So the different tips on how to make this problem, the problem must be factual. So it must be existing. Take note of that. So existing, it must be factual. So next, in defining the problems, we can also use the process of course, making some observations, making surveys. We can include for example, we have our stakeholders. So what are the problems they met? So if the problem is being consistent, therefore, so we can use that as our problem for our innovation. Next is to present your solution. Of course, after having your problem, we need to have, of course, our solution. But the question is your solution the best in answering the problem? So do we have other alternative solutions in addressing the problems? So is there any best? So if you find your solution better, is there a best solution for that? And for this presentation of the solution, of course, we must make sure that our solution are the best in addressing our problems and our gaps. So in presenting your solution, it must be, of course, again, fact-based. So based on the facts, what is existing, so this is achievable. So this solution is achievable for me. It is achievable, so therefore I can make this as my solution and this in this problem. So the solutions can be, it must be of a big impact. It must cover all. So the solution must cover all. It must not be on that very specific in the sense that we can use this in this type of problem, but it can be of big impact. So that is how to present your solution. Next is defining your deliverables and the success criteria. So for defining your deliverables, it includes what is your innovation offering? What would it deliver? So here we are going to define so the use of your innovation and what it would deliver in the presentation of your solution to solve the problems. The success criteria of this innovation is like writing a lesson plan. It must be smart. So for the criteria that it must be smart in the sense that it must be specific, it should be measurable, attainable, resource-oriented, or realistic, and of course, it must be, for the letter T, time-bounded. So meaning to say, for the criteria, if it is specific, therefore, we can easily define if the solution will easily solve our problem itself. So it must be very, very specific. So next, for M, measurable, of course, it must be on a certain gap of time. So if it is not time bounded, so if it's not uh, when we say in the term of the researchable, so if it is not researchable, then we are not allowed to perform that innovation. So if it is not attainable in a certain time, so that innovation can be modified. So it must answer a certain problem easily as in a short term. So in a 3 to 6 months, it should answer those. So it must time bounded and it must be measurable. Next, it must be a smart. So SMAR. So R is realistic. So factual, of course, realistic, resource oriented. It must be realistic. And the last one, it must be time bounded. So next we have the state your plan or approach. So this is one of the most crucial part of your innovation, wherein you're going to plan here, make your plans on how you're going uh, to tend your deliverables, to answer the solution, and of course to make solutions to answer the problems. So is your plan really working? Will this plan work? So will this plan answer the problems or make a solution on the different problems that we have? Is your plan anchored to what you are delivering? So based on your deliverables, so is the success high enough or efficient or effective enough for this type of innovation? So those are the problems that you have to consider on this step number 4. So stating your plan or your approach. So how do you consider your approach as the best thing that you can do in your plan to make your deliverables successful in making solutions to answer your problems. So that is now the step number 4. Then for step number 5, we have the outline your project or schedule and the budget. Outline your project schedule and budget. So here, for outlining the project schedule, you must be specific and what is to be attained in every from time to time. So, am I going to reach this solution to the problem at a certain time? Is it achievable? Am I going to make use of a measurable thing that would give me information to to have this solution and answer these certain problems? So this outline includes the schedule. So when we're scheduling, we can use different techniques. For example, we wanted to make use of timetables. We can make use of a Gantt chart, but make sure that the time schedule must be very, very specific. So for the budget, so of course, so based on the depth ed order number 31, the budget must be a personal fund. So it must not be coming from the MOOE if you're a teacher, or strictly more on donation. So more on donations. So for the budget, of course, you're going to specify the how are you going to make use of this financial. So financially, so are we going to distribute this? Are we going to make use of a certain material? Are we going to produce a material that needs certain costing? So therefore, it needed a budget. So next we have the step 6. So write your project innovation. This time you're going now to tie up and make use of your innovation of those resources, the steps 1, 2, 3 to 5, and now you're going to make a proposal of your project innovation. So for the project proposal innovation, I'll be discussing later. So what are the different parts, how we're going to write it, and what are the content and context of a project proposal. So number seven is to edit or to proofread your proposal. So this is very one of the things that that some of our innovators they tend to skip. They do not edit or proofread. So here we must edit or proofread our proposal so that of course our proposal is not only for the learners here. We can use it globally. So editing and proofreading must be persuasive. Of course, our innovation must be persuasive. So checking the grammar, checking the punctuations, the spellings. So of course here, in editing and proofreading, so we needed here some contacts. Of course, it can be our English coordinators, our English leaders. So anyone who is knowledgeable enough in doing some editing, doing some proofreading of your proposal. So, for example, in my case, as a math teacher, so this is very crucial because I tend to have some problems in spelling as well as in grammar. So, this is one way of making your innovation or your project innovation or your program innovation of quality globally. So, something like that. Then we have here the different parts of project proposal for innovation. So how do we write project innovation? What are the different parts that we needed to consider in order for us to write a uh, proposal? So after knowing the elements, after knowing the difference between the project innovation and what is a program innovation, so who will innovate, after knowing the different steps on how to make an innovation, next is now the writing of the project proposal. How do we write the project proposal for innovation? After selecting your project, for example, your concern is on the curriculum, or if your concern is on the subject itself, if your concern is on the risk management, if the concern is on the health of the teachers, in mentoring, in any management, in educative process, and the educative methodology of teaching, the pedagogy of teaching, or anything. So this comes next, and how to write your project innovation. So first, of course, we needed the part. The first is our first part is the innovation project classification and project title. So it must be of the sentence summary of the project scope. So what is your project all about? So what is your project? What are the deliverables of your project? What is the concern of your project? So for example, I have here a project proposal, which is the math vlog. And what is this math block all about? It is a virtual learning material for online distance learning in grade 7. Since I am handling grade 7, this is during the pandemic wherein we are hit by this pandemic and we can no longer make use of the face-to-face. So what I did is uh, I made an innovation that is more on visual learning materials that is accessible to all learners, especially the grade 7 students, which are the foundation of our learners. So the support material for online distance learning. So here we are going to make the name of the proponent, of course, yourselves. So if you are the math teacher, the coordinator, so if you are a concerned teacher and advisor, if you're the school nurse, if you're the principal, so indicate here. And then for the project title, that itself is the title. And of course, introduction of it. So introduce what is your project all about. So knowing the steps, so we can easily now determine what is our project all about. So it is about, if we're going to look at the problem itself, it's more on making a video lesson, a virtual learning material, which is a video lesson. It can be a learning material that is gamified. So by just looking at the title, so the support material for online distance learning, So in making your title, so make it catchy. Sometimes they use the millennial words. So sometimes they use the initials of their names. So to indicate a certain title. For example, if your title is, if you wanted to make an innovation that is concerned on reading, so Project Read. So read enhancement and assessment for developing learners, something like that. So the project read, something like that. If your concern is more on DRRM, so project safe, something like that. So we're in securing. So S is for securing, anything that you can make use of that. So in order for you to make that title catchy, and of course by just reading it, it is concerned on this type of um, criteria. So, for example, your project is more on, for example, the teaching methodologies. So we have the different teaching, the social pedagogy. So you can make use of that. So making use of your names. So as the project title itself, so that for every time that they are making use of your, or if someone adapted your project, therefore, so making they are making use of your name as their title. Next, we have the project time frame. So from the step, so the project time frame is very important, especially in making the approach so of this innovation. The project time frame includes how are you going to the time you are going to make use in the preparation, from the preparation up to the end, or the result of your, or making a an uh, for example, after finishing it, so making use of it if it is applicable in the different subject itself. For example, in this one, since this is applicable only for mathematics, since I am using the math blog, so for the project frame, so I'll be including here so some innovations were in some recommendations if it is still applicable on the other subjects in a specific time frame, using this specific time frame. So from my definition a while back, so the time frame for project proposal is from 3 to 6 months, or that is for 1 quarter to 2 quarters, or one semester. Eto, here. So for example, we have here the name of the proponent, the project title, and then additional is the time frame. So I make use here of a school year 2020 to 2021. So I make use of actually, this is a 6 month innovation. So the time frame includes the from the preparation of the project up to the finishing of the project. So actually, we can also include if it is if other schools wanted to adapt it. So another time frame for that, if it is adaptable, so to other schools. So if their concerns or your problems are also the problems of the others, so therefore they can adapt your problems. So we can include in our project time frame. So here, budgeting our time is very important. So we're in we must be factual, since if this project, for example, is not attainable in 3 to 6 months, so make sure that we're going to extend it. So, but do not extend it for a year, for 3 years, so because that becomes a program itself. So next we have the project contacts. So the project contacts, so the proponent lists down the persons involved in this project. So this is necessary if you are going to make, we wanted to make an innovation that is very sound, of quality, and if it is to be used globally. So you needed, of course, the help of the others, the mentoring of the different um, school personnels, so that you can contact in making your project innovation of quality. So who are you going to put on that project contact? So for example, you have your project contacts wherein I put here our supervisors for supervision, and of course for the mentoring, our principal for the, again, monitoring and supervision, our head teacher in mathematics for the quality of the video that I am going to present, aligning it to our in our melts, our an English teacher who will do the proofreading, and of course a math teacher aside from me, another teacher on the computation processes. For example, if I have here a computation involving the data analysis, so therefore it will be biased if I'm going to compute it. So I'm going to uh, top other math teachers in solving our data analysis. So for the different project, for example, if it involves in the RRM, so we needed the municipal, the help of the LGU, so we can put on our contacts. If you needed the help of the doctors for the uh, health mental health, any psychologist, so we can make use of this project contacts wherein we're going to place them as our references or any contacts that will help in our innovation. So if your concern is more on making a more on the facilities, of course, we can make use of our school custodian as our enhancing the facilities. So the property custodians, we can make them as our contacts. So anyone that is very helpful, you think is very helpful in providing and making your and in writing your innovation, so we can make them as our project contacts. So next we have the innovation. The fourth part is the innovation project description. Of course, here we're going to introduce what is our innovation all about, where to describe it. So this is how we're going to describe our innovation. Why are you doing this project? What will you be doing? How will you be doing it? Who will be doing it? Where it will be done, how long will it take, and of course, how much will it cost. So if we're going to look at this, it's just like the 7 steps in writing our innovation. So what are you doing? Why are you doing this project? Of course, upon it can be an offshoot of a research. For example, a research is being done, and then a problem arises. Then you needed to answer that specific problem. Therefore, innovation is one of the best way to offshoot our or to patch up that problem. So why are you doing this project? So it is necessary to do this project. So of course, we are doing this because we found a gap or a problem in a specific, for example, in teaching methodology, in different concerns. So how will you be doing it? So how will you do it? So it includes your approaches and your plans and how you're going to do it. How will you be doing it? So how are you going to do it? So, are you going to make use of something that is necessary? Are you going to make use of something that is are you going to address it in a manner that you're doing it because it will help you, it will help the learners. So, how are you going to do it? So, next, who will be doing it? Of course, as an innovator, of course, it is you yourself if you're will be doing it. Where will it be done? So, in what particular school, in what particular cluster, in what particular division, in what particular uh, classroom, or will it be done? How long will it take? So, of course, here it must be time bounded. So, will it be done in just 1 month, in just 2 months, in 3 months, in the maximum 6 months, more than 6 months, so on and so on. How much will it cost? Of course, here with the budget itself. So for this innovation project description, all of this must be included on it. So your why are you doing it, the project, the problems, the solutions, the times, everything. So it's like writing a research itself. Next is the innovation project background. So when you say innovation project background, what is your project all about? Is it based on a research? Is it your based on what is being observed and what is being surveyed? So it is based on the gaps that is being come up after or came up after the data analysis of a certain survey, something like that. So innovation background, it could be, so here, it can be the abstract of the conducted action research, or if offshoot of the research. We might have here an abstract, copied from the approved action research, include the target duration of the innovation. So in this part, you're going to make use, if it is anchored to a research, so make use of an abstract. So the abstract itself involves, of course, the research itself, proper citation, of course, is needed here, and referencing. So the target duration of your innovation. Or you can make use of a rationale or rationale if used as a concept. So explain what problems or gaps, issues, needs you are trying to solve and why these are relevant. So provide a brief setting and history behind this project. Include references, of course. So here, if it is not an offshoot of research, therefore we can make use of a rationale. Explaining what is the problem. So, for example, in a respective school, a problem here is can be not a problem in different schools. So, for example, in our community, so the problem in our community is not a problem in other community. Therefore, we have to explain here on what particular community is it a problem. In what particular school is it a problem. What are the issues? Is it really a need for a innovation? So is it a simple problem which can be addressed by the school head? So if it can be easily addressed by school head, so no need for us to innovate. So if it is there a need for a study, a deeper study? Therefore, that is the time that we're going to make use of an innovation. Take note, my dear professionals. So if the innovation or if a project is being made or if a project is being implemented by the Department of Education, so we can no longer use it as an innovation. So next, provide a brief setting and history behind this project. What is the project all about? Make use of those, anchoring it on different, for example, studies that are being made. So that is one way of providing setting and history behind this project. If it is a problem in a certain area and a problem in your area, therefore, we can make use of comparing the different the different problems that is concerned on the different areas. So if it is not a problem on a certain division, why is it not a problem? So maybe they made a certain innovation and then our innovation, and then later on, we're going to check if our innovation is just anchored again to the innovation made by the other division. Then, of course, we include references. That is for, of course, for our safety. So we are going to proper citing and proper referencing is needed. So if you're going to make use of references, and the references can be done. So if you're going to make use of the APA 7th edition, so we can make use of 7th edition, the 6th edition. So anything that is more on referencing, we can make use of any method that is applicable or that we are capable of doing. Then number 6, we have the project objectives. So here we're going to specify what are the objectives of our project. So as much as possible, we are to leave, we must have at least three project objectives. So defining your project specifically. So make sure that the project that the objectives are time bounded, and of course it must be measurable. So if it is not measurable, therefore we cannot make an analysis on that. For example, if we're going to make use of the effect, we know that the effect needs a foundation of before and after. So therefore, that 6 months is not enough for that effect. Projecting the effect of a certain, for example, the teaching methodology. So the impact can be used. So for the objectives, so wherein the impact is the immediate solution that we can make use. So for example, the before and the after impact of a certain problem. So make use of the terms which are measurable in the project objectives. So it includes, for example, we wanted to, if our concern is on the teaching methodology, So therefore, the project objective must be focused, of course, on the very specific teaching methodology that is being addressed. For example, if it is more on teaching mathematics by the use of video lesson, therefore you focus on the video lesson. So if your project involves mental health of the teachers, so the stress, that is the stress that is being um, managed by the teacher. So therefore, you focus on that stress, and the stress on how to deal with it, of course, by the teachers, of course. So to be specific. If your project is more on the safety of the students in a certain school, therefore you must be specific that your project must be, the objective must be on the safety of the students on that specific school. So that is how to make a project objectives. Next, we have the project methodology. So after having that specifics, having that problem or the objectives. So next, we have to indicate our project methodology. The project methodology is like in research. It involves the work breakdown and task time estimates, the project deliverables, and of course, the project risk management. So from that definition a while back, so the work breakdown and the task time estimates includes, of course, using a timetable, is to make use of a Gantt chart, something like that. So we can make use of a timetable, a Gantt chart to make use of, or to break down all our tasks. So in achieving or the preparation to the achievement of our innovation. So for the project deliverables, again, so the project deliverables includes what is our project is offering. So it could be, is it for the enhancement of the teaching methodology? Is it for, uh, for the trainings that we needed to indulge with? Is it is our project innovation delivering a certain thing that would make our learners safe? Is it for the um, mentoring processes? Is it for the evaluating a certain teaching methodologies that you think is more advisable to use than the other one? Is it about the is your innovation delivering mentoring and support to your teachers and so forth and so on, so something like that. So you're going to involve this in our project methodology. Then we have the project risk management. So for the project risk management, that includes what if our project fail? So what are the risks? How do we manage the risk if our project fail? Since our project is very specific, so we can easily make an adjustment. We can also make some of modifications in order for us to reduce the risk of not attaining our objectives. So it is very specific, so therefore we can specifically reduce the risk. So if the project is very broad, therefore we cannot, yeah, we don't have that. Uh, the management of that risk is inevitable, and we cannot easily uh, offer some innovation on that. So that's why one of the elements of innovation of project innovation is specific. So that's why when we are to do project risk management, so we can easily make these gaps or any problems or any risk. So we can easily address this because it is very very specific. Then for the project cost, so like what I've said, the project cost involves your budgetary or the financial cost of your project. So how much is your project? So what are your costs? So what are your sources? So it includes, of course, the sources and the budget itself. So when we say sources, the sources of fund, so from the depth ed memorandum, so it is stated here that MOOE should not be used as a source of fund. So it can be coming from a donation, but please do not solicit. It is not solicitation is prohibited. So for the project budget, of course, budgeting it. So what are the expenses? For example, you wanted to, your project is all about the mental health. You're going to make use of a uh, questionnaire, therefore. So, copying a certain, reproducing and copying of that a certain needs a budget. So, therefore, you can make use of that. You can put it on your budget, but make use that the sources of your fund must not be in MOE or in any solicitation. It must be a donation. So, for, of course, if it is a donation, we must need a memorandum of MOA, and of course the donation itself, the letter for donation. Then of course the last one is for the monitoring and the evaluation. So after preparing all, we have the title, getting here our, I'll be going back in my slide, after having here our titles, making a title, the project title, giving the specific time frame, having our contacts, and then innovation, the project description, an introduction of your project, innovation, the background of your project, where is it being attached or anchored, the abstract and the rationale. Then having these project objectives, so giving your specific objectives with a minimum of 3 objectives, and then having this methodology wherein you're going to make use of the project approaches and plan. So having the breakdown, the deliverables, the project risk management, and having the cost, the project budget, and the resources, it is now time to have the monitoring and evaluation. How are you going to, how are the our superiors going to monitor and evaluate our innovation? Here, we're going to make use of that. We can use of a template if you have the template for monitoring. If a certain objective is being attained from time to time. That's why some of the time frame is very important. Budgeting your time is very important in order for us to attain, of course, our objectives. So monitoring and evaluation is done in order for us to determine what is done and what is to be done. Monitoring is giving something that is checking what is done and what is to be done. And then, of course, after monitoring, we're going to evaluate the evaluation of our innovation. Is it really a need? Is it really, is this solutions really answering the problems that we detected? So, is our solution really the best solution in addressing the problem? So, here we can easily monitor and evaluate it simply by, of course, having our data analysis. Of course, the data itself will be used as our evaluation if it is really significant or not. If there's a really a relationship, is there really a difference? For example, in teaching methodology, if there's an increase on the performance of the students, is this increase really a significant in after using that innovation and so forth and so on. So this is very crucial. So since the monitoring and evaluation can be done, of course, by our supervisors, by our head teachers, by our master teachers, if it is concerned on the mentoring and so forth and so on. So after knowing this, of course, we now have our project proposal, writing the project innovation proposal. So from this, so that ends my research and innovation. I said, like what I've said. So my topic is an offshoot of the research in writing a innovation. So after making a research, what's next? So that is writing the innovation. So I will be leaving you with this. The greatest device for more creativity and innovation is a curious mind. So we, the teachers, we, the professionals, should not stop. You must have a curious mind to make and to create an innovation that will enhance our profession. So of course, based on the legal basis that we have a while back. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful and marvelous presentation. I hope I hope our participants learn something from you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Sir, so now we are proceed to our quiz competition session, and after that we move to our Q&A. So you have to wait for some time in the back stage. Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Our lovely participants, it's our quiz session time. To join our quiz session, you have to go to slido.com and the quiz code is quizigp. The code is quizigp. You can scan our QR code from the screen and also the link given in our comment box. To join this quiz session, you have to go to slido.com and the quiz code is quizigp. After quiz competition session, we move to our Q&A. Dear participants, we will pick your name from this Slido, so join with your full name, which will directly pin on your certificate. Top 10 quiz competition winners get their quiz certificate from our Facebook page. Our Facebook page address is Institute of Global Professionals and our website address is eduizp.com. Now 38 participants join with us. We have Jennifer San, Mezipat Bado, Lee Pakunla, Fema Ian Ron, Jasmine Ronquillo, Nicoden Esmero, Cristina Bidel Rosario. Dear participants, we start our quiz competition in a short time, so join hurry up. To join this quiz session, you have to go to slido.com and the quiz code is quizigp. You can also mention your friend to join this session. Top 10 quiz competition winners get their quiz certificate. We start our quiz competition after 2 minutes later. After 2 minutes later, we start our quiz competition. Dear participants, after 30 seconds later, we start our quiz competition. So join with your full name, which will directly print on your certificate. Now we have 51 participants. Now we start our quiz competition. Our first question is: research on transformational leadership is primarily qualitative research or is primarily quantitative research? 86% of our participants give the right answer, and the answer is primarily qualitative research. On the leaderboard, Ana Maria Joya Mercado leading the first position, and the second one is Belinda Sibyl Hispano, and the third one is Sonam Yangsin. Our next question is: explain the difference in an innovation and in an invention. The option is innovation, the remaking of an object, or invention, the creating of a new tool. 63% of our participants give the right answer, and the answer is innovation, the remaking of an object. On the leaderboard, Jimalin Rivera leading the first position, and the second one is Melinda Sibyl Hispano, and the third one is Alex Javier Alvarez. Our next question is: what did the development of writing help explain what governments could do? Is it become more powerful or become more formal and more bureaucratic? Eighty-three percent of our participants give the right answer, and the answer is become more formal and more bureaucratic. On the leaderboard, the first one is Cristina Vidal Rosario, and the second one is Jimalin Rivera, and the third one is Nicodemus Miro. Our next question is: what innovation helps governments in power? Is it taxation or equal field system? 40% of our participants give the right answer, and the answer is taxation. On the leaderboard, the first one is Cristina Rosario, and the second one is Jimalin Rivera, and the third one is Joel A. Barnason. Our next question is: when need to do any research, the first place to go to get reliable information is go to Google or ISL library databases. 81% of our participants give the right answer, and the answer is ISL library databases. On the leaderboard, the first position is Cristina Rosario, and the second one is Jimalin Rivera, and the third one is Joel A. Barnason. Our next question is: a research object should specify from whom and what information should be gathered. or specify the unit of measurement to gather the information. Only 20% of our participants give the right answer, and the answer is specify the unit of measurement to gather the information. On the leaderboard, there is no sense. Now we move to our next question. Ethics in research are important or a waste of time? 100% of our participants give the right answer, and the answer is important. Our next question is market research is a game on the App Store or where a business gather information about customers. 100% of our participants give the right answer, and the answer is where a business gather information about customers. Our next question is primary research collected by yourself or research collected by someone other than yourself? 72% of our participants give the right answer, and the answer is research collected by yourself. On the leaderboard, the first position is Jimalin B. Rivera, and the second one is Joel A. Barnasa, and the third one is Emily F. Rufugio. Our last and final question is research develops our profession, strongly disagree or agree? Only 40% of our participants give the right answer, and the answer is I strongly disagree. Thank you everyone of our top 10 quiz competition winners. On the leaderboard, the first position is Emily F. Rufugio, and the second one is Florence, and the third one is Jimalin B. Rivera. Top 10 quiz competition winners get their quiz certificate from our Facebook page. Now we proceed to our question and answer session. After a short video clips, we come back with our speaker. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for waiting in the backstage. Dear participants, it's our question and answer session time. You can send your question in our comment box. Top 10 quiz competition winners get their quiz certificate from our Facebook page. Dear participants, if you have any question related this topic, you can send your question in our comment box.
Sir, I think there is a question.
Yes, sir. The question from Evelyn Weferi.
Yes,
And the
sir.
question is, good afternoon, sir. What is the difference between an innovation and action research?
Okay. So the difference between an innovation and action research is more on making use of a principle and putting it in action or putting it in application. While innovation is based on that action or application. If there is a problem that will arise, so to patch up that problem, so an innovation is to be make use of.
Thank you, sir.
Sir.
Sir, our next question from Jacqueline. The question is, what is the importance to having a good research question? And thank you, sir.
Okay. So the importance of having a good research question, of course, a good research question that is researchable is something that is important. So having this good research question intensifies our solution in addressing our problems. So with this good research question, so of course a good solution or a good outcome of the research is expected. Sir, another question.
Yes, sir. Our next question is, how long will it takes to finish monitoring the project research?
Okay, so thank you very much, Ma'am Rochil. So how long will it take to finish monitoring the project research? So the project, the project innovation is from 3 to 6 months, and then innovate. Actually, the monitoring the project from the beginning till the end consists of a time frame. For example, it can be for every month, depends on how you're going to monitor it. It depends on the project itself. So if it is to be monitored by monthly, so you do it twice a month. If it can be monitored twice a month, so there, 3 times a month, or even in a certain period of in the whole quarter. So therefore, you will monitor it in the whole quarter. So it depends on what type of research, project research do we have.
Thank you, sir. Our next question is, why research can't develop our profession based on the quiz question, although I know some of the reasons.
Yes, that is one of my problem too. It could develop our profession.
Our next question from Jacqueline. The question is, what topic should be avoided in research?
So in research, of course, we have to avoid the topics which are non-researchable. So something that is not realistic, something that is not measurable, something that is not time bounded. For example, you wanted to research on the growth of a tree, therefore it would take you time for that. So if you're going to make use of a topic, make sure that is something that is researchable, that is time bounded, that is a problem itself, fact, it is a factual that it is a problem, and of course it must be in a certain time. You can achieve it in a certain time. So everything can be a part of the topic. So anything that you wanted, if you find curiosity, you can make it as a topic, but make sure that it is time bounded. If you are willing to wait for that certain time, for example, you wanted to check the productivity of a certain thing, it would take you for some time. If you are willing to take the chance of waiting for that to get what is the result, to get the result, therefore be it. But if you wanted to avoid a topic, the topic that would take you a long time to finish it, especially if you are a teacher.
Thank you, sir. Dear participants, we are still waiting for our next question. Thank you, sir. We have no more question.
Okay, sir.
Sir, we are very grateful to you for your wonderful presentation and giving us your valuable time. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Sir, what is your last and final words for our participants?
Thank you very much, sir, and of course our professionals, our participants. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dear knowledge seekers, I would love to thank you all from my deep heart for attending today's session. I hope you learned something new and you will implement it in your life. Today, our program name is Research and Innovation Writing, and the code is IGP1606. The code is IGP1606. Without code, no one is eligible for certificate. With code, you can claim your certificate anytime. And without an account on our website, you can visit only, but you don't do anything functionally. So to download your certificate, you have to go to our website, and the address is eduizp.com. First of all, you have to create an account on our website, and after that, you have to enroll the program, and then you have to put the code, that is IGP1606, and after that, you download your certificate. And after downloading your certificate, please give a review on our Facebook page if you learned something. And don't forget to collect your certificate. Thank you very much. We hope we'll meet together in our next session. Stay happy and stay safe.